Hello, hello, hello. Greetings and salutations. This is Stone Warden here with episode 1 of Let's Play Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy XI, if you have not played, is a fantastic MMO, massive multiplayer online RPG role-playing game. So it's a fantastic game. Been around for 20 years. Has some really unique features that haven't been replicated in any other game. There's a great depth when it comes to the job system and the lore and the questing, and what we're going to do is we're going to dig into this game and really take it from the perspective of a brand new character, a fresh start. Again, I've been playing for a number of years, but we're going to start fresh and sort of look at it from the standpoint of someone who is starting today. So what you're going to do, once you get the game downloaded and logged in, this brings you to the title screen, and essentially what we're going to do is head over to the create character screen. You don't have too many choices here. Humes, Elvins, Tarus, Mithras, and Galkas. Obviously, Mithras and Galkas only have a female or male version, respectively. I have played most of these races in the past, and today, just for simplicity, we're just going to be starting a new Elven character. By the way, this used to be a huge decision back when this game started, because you would, if you'll notice there, your starting specs, strength, dexterity, vitality, agility, etc., are different for each of the races, and so that 1 point used to be a huge advantage. However, now in the current version of the game that we have, it's not. So feel free to pick any race you like, because it is only cosmetic at this point. Now, I will tell you, it is important that you choose what you like here, because unlike many other new games, there is no way to change this later. So once you start a character, you are stuck with it. So again, we're going to go with an Elven. So once you choose your race, you have a number of faces to choose from, and it says face, but that also determines the hair that goes along with that face as well. So not a lot of customization relative to some of the other games that you may see. There's not a lot of customization relative to some of the newer games, so we're just going to go with this face here. That looks pretty good. Then you get to choose a color, choose your build. Okay, so then we get into choosing the job. Now keep in mind, with Final Fantasy XI, you change your jobs in your Mog house, and we'll get into that later, but you can be any and every job with your one character. A lot of games make you choose what character, what job you want to play, what role, however you want to play. At the creation screen, you are not locked into this, so you can choose any of the jobs that you want to choose to start with, and we'll start with warrior. Why not, right? Okay, so now we get into names. Because the game has been around for 20 years, depending upon which server you want to play on, a lot of the common names are already spoken for. So okay, so now we get into choosing the world. This is also the server that you're going to play on. Because the game is 20 years old, Azura is the most populated server by far, and Odin comes in second. Odin also has a higher percentage of Japanese players. Final Fantasy XI is a Japanese game, and offers European and US versions, but Azra is by far the most populated. Bahamut and Odin are second and third, and then some of the others are ghost towns. But once you choose your world server, you can transfer if you'd like. They charge you currently $18. Every now and then that goes on sale, but for right now we're going to choose Odin and see if our name is taken for Odin. You can choose a starting nation, Sandoria, Bastok, or Windurst. Again, this doesn't really make too much of a difference. This determines which of the 3 rings that you will start with. And if you choose Bastok, you'll get a ring that has 3 hit points on it, 1 dexterity, 1 vitality. And if you choose Sandoria, you'll get a ring that has 2 defense, 1 strength, and 1 mind. And then if you choose Windurst, you'll have a ring that has 3 magic points, 1 agility, and 1 intelligence. And if you don't know what any of those mean, that's fine. What I tell people is you can change nations once you're inside of the game. And if you like to have rank 10 in all of the nations, then you can, it doesn't matter, right? You're just going to move from nation to nation. The only thing that will matter is which of the starting rings that you get, and again, any level 1 gear is going to be useful for a very short amount of time. So I'm just going to choose Sandoria. And it looks like we're in. Okay, and upon logging in, the music's going to be very loud on your first go. So there's going to be a starting movie, and then we'll get into some settings so that you'll be able to hear me better. So as you can see from the movie, Sandoria's reputation has diminished over the years. Once a kingdom of knights and honor and valor, it's fallen off a little bit there. So before we move around any at all, what you'll notice is this game is an old text-based, menu-based game, and so what I'm going to do first is come into the game settings and turn the music down. Now, I will say that music for Final Fantasy XI is absolutely fantastic. So I hope you turn it up. I hope you enjoy it. But for the playthrough, so we can you can hear me talk, we'll turn the music down to a very low level, and we'll keep the sound effects pretty high. The other thing, I'm going to turn inventory sort on, and what this will do is it will sort your inventory when new items come into it. The next one down in the settings, these are chat filters, and well, you know what, now that I think about it, let me turn the sound effects down just a tad as well. Auto target, we're going to get into that later. Chat filters, I'll leave this on, leave everything off for now, which means everything is going to show in the chat log. Now, a few years ago, Final Fantasy XI added multi-windows, and so that way you can have conversation in one window, and then maybe you can have, you know, battle data in the other window. Okay, then we get into the miscellaneous. There's miscellaneous, and then 2, 3, and 4. You can have damage show up, pop up above the character's head, the enemy's head, or just on the log. I like to see it on the log because then I can filter it and it looks a little bit smoother, I think. If you're using a full-size PC keyboard, go ahead and set that to full. You can change the aspect ratio for the background. And as you'll notice, the character gets kind of bigger or thinner. I like the 16:9 look. Effects. This is where you can filter your battle effects, okay? And you'll notice once we get into battle, there's going to be a lot of text that scrolls through that battle screen, that window too. So we'll probably end up filtering some of that out. I think it runs a little bit better and is easier to follow. I've always played inverted, and so we're going to do that here. But you choose what is good for you. It comes with a language filter. I'm going to leave that on for recording. If you feel like you don't care about seeing bad words, then you can set that off. And then it comes with an idle disconnect. Now, a lot of games have one built in that you cannot turn on. Final Fantasy still allows you to turn that off. Now, you will notice that next to my character's name, SWG, stands for Stone Warden Gaming, but next to my character's name is a big red and white question mark. That is what they call the new adventurer status. So what you can do is upon creation of your character, you can technically log into Help Desk. You can go to Config, and you can cancel new adventurer status. And then as soon as we do, that big question mark goes away. Okay, so up here in the top left, the fact that this equipment is showing as green, that means it is equipped. So you can also see that here in the equipment screen. This stuff is on our body currently. And then we can go to, for example, ring, and it will show us all of the options. Here's the ring that we talked about up front, so that's the Sandorian ring. We'll go ahead and equip that. And then we also get an onion sword because we chose warrior as our job. So we'll go ahead and put that on. Also, what we'll notice is that we were given an adventurer's coupon. So now that we're in the world, a lot of games will have a big map, which Final Fantasy does have a map. And it will, but a lot of times the maps will tell you where to go, what to do, what your next quest is. Final Fantasy is not like that. Final Fantasy is one of the old sandbox games where you can just technically go where you want to go when you want to go there. And so a lot of times it's extremely difficult to know what to do. You can follow along in the quest log. So current log will show your quests. And then there's also missions. So right now we have not accepted any missions other than the ones that are default accepted for you. So at this point, I'll point out they added a few years ago records of Eminence, and commonly referred to as ROE. And in this list, this is going to be the way to get started as a new character. You're going to come into tutorial, and this is really going to be the guide that tells you what to do. The other thing to keep in mind, if you missed it when you logged in, the person that you talked to in that as part of that story, that movie, gave you an adventurer's coupon and then marked someone on your map. And the way you trade is you put the cursor on the NPC or the PC you want to trade to. You come up to trade. You select your box. You go to the item, and then you hit OK, and that gives that coupon to that NPC who now is going to talk to us. Okay, so we got 50 gil. Now, gil is the currency of Final Fantasy XI. You have 10 when you log in first, and they give you 50 for that adventurer's coupon. Okay, so now that we've gotten our first quest out of the way, which is turning in our adventurer's coupon, what to do now? So we're going to be following that Records of Eminence guide to start. What you'll notice is in the background there's a big glowy blue crystal, if you will. And so a number of years ago, Final Fantasy added these home points. What they allow you to do is to, number one, you can set this as your home point if you are incapacitated or knocked out, and you resurrect yourself, you will come back to your home point. Also, if you use one of the tools that warps you back to your home point, or if someone casts warp on you, it brings you back to wherever you can have one home point set. However, once you unlock each of these crystals, then you can travel in between them for a fee. So as you'll notice on your map, there are 2 other glowy crystals and a book, and those are flashing because we have not unlocked them. So that's sort of a sign to us that we need to go and unlock those crystals. Okay, so now we're in southern Sandoria, and again our quest is to go and speak to that NPC at G10. And again, if we forgot who we're supposed to be talking to, we come into our quest log, record of Eminence, and we're supposed to be speaking with Rolandian. So that's this person here. Target and talk to them. So if you're interested in the status or progress of your level, you come to status and under the profile tab, but it will show you at the top left what level you are, what job you're currently on, your I level and your SU level, which we'll get into much later, your hit points, your magic points, and then your the other values, your strength, dexterity, vitality, agility, intelligence, mind, and charisma. Okay, and then below that it will show your level, how many experience points you have accrued inside of that level, and then how many you need to complete that level. So we are at 300 out of 500, so 200 more experience points we will reach level 2. Now the other thing to keep in mind, so that is just for your level. They do have a separate system for combat skills, and under combat skills you have to actually do combat to increase these, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So there's also crafting, craft skills, etc. So alright, so now what are we going to do? We're going to head over to our records of Eminence log, and it has already teed up for us a Vanquish Lizards ROE, and this is because it's a limited time challenge, so everyone in the world has this Vanquish Lizards ROE objective, and this will change in a couple of hours over to something else. There is a website that lists these, are not random, so you'll know exactly what quests are coming up if you'd like to attempt those. Now let's go back to the objective list, back to the tutorial. Now that we've done our first step forward, there is a long list of things that we can do, so we're going to go ahead and accept these. We're headed out into the world at this point to do some combat and increase our level. Okay, so near the gates of most of these countries you will see knights or guards with a comma and then a couple of initials. For Sandoria it's TK, stands for Temple Knight. They will cast Signet on you. So would you cast Signet on me? It's free, and what Signet does is it gives you conquest points, which used to be of great importance. And you'll see we have the little Signet icon up there in the top left. You can exchange conquest points for gear, but since you get sparks and sparks gear at a faster rate than you get conquest points, this is less important. However, a return ring, homing ring, chariot band, empress band, these are going to be good to have. So if we can get to 1,000 points or 2,000 points, we'll come back and grab one of these. Okay, now we're in the open world. We are in West Ronfer. That's how I pronounce that. I'm sticking with it. So, depending on the zone that you're in, there will be a number of enemies. This is what we call a starter zone, so the enemies will range from 1 to 15-ish. This is what we call a field manual. Field manual will allow us to undertake one of these individual trainings. So this is asking us to defeat 6 worms. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And then we want it to automatically repeat. So basically you get a bonus for completing the objectives. Alright, so we've gotten a lot of points there, and basically have gone from level 1 to 3 just by completing those objectives and defeating one enemy. It used to be much harder and take a lot longer to do that. So let's see if we can find some more worms. We're supposed to complete or defeat 6 of these, so here would be number 2. So we've just completed that training regime, and that pushed us to level 4. So we've gone from level 1 to 4 pretty quickly there. At level 5 we can start to do trusts. So before we do that though, let's hop in here and check and see if there are any other new objectives. Here's one for obtain an alter ego Sandoria. Must be level 5 or higher. And then here are some alternative or advanced jobs. The way it works is you have access to basic jobs when you first create your character. So you have warrior, white mage, red mage, monk, black mage, and thief. And then once you get one of those jobs to level 30, you can do quest to unlock the other jobs, the other more advanced jobs. And now we're level 5. So we can run back into town and start to complete our trust objectives. Also of note, you'll see in the log, SWG learns Fast Blade. So again, that's our weapon skill. So let's see if we can use that here. And it's just a more powerful attack. Now we have, if you'll notice, 95 out of 99 hit points. That's not a concern, but let's say the hit points were much lower than that. You can cast magic on yourself to heal, or someone else can cast magic on you. Since Warrior does not have access to any magic without a sub-job, we'll explain that later, and there is no one around to cast heal or cure upon us, what you can do is heal yourself. So you kneel, and it's sort of a meditative stance, if you will, and then after a few seconds you will heal or recover some of your hit points. The reason I'm doing that is because it's one of the objectives in our records of Eminence to heal without using magic. And there we go. So heal without using magic, and we got sparks and we got experience points for that. So, and we got to level 6. So let's head on in and see if we can unlock some of the trusts. Okay, so now that we're above level 5, this fella here should talk to us about trusts. So that red institute card again is in blue, which means it's a key item, and that key item is going to allow us to talk to Exit Mill at the gate and get our first trust Exit Mill. So here we are. And we'll get a little cutscene. And the idea behind trust is that you have built a bond with the NPC so strong that you are now able to summon a copy of them in battle. And so what happens is, as you progress through the game, you build bonds with various NPCs and characters in the stories, and then have access to more and more trusts that you can use out in the field. The trust system was designed to address the fact that Final Fantasy XI has not been very solo friendly. It was always designed to be a group game, something that you had to had to team up with others to progress in, and so rather than change the game itself, they added the trust system, which allows us to go out and do combat as if we have a group, although the group is are NPCs or AI controlled. So, and trust will show up technically as magic. So we go to magic, go down to trust, and then we'll see our first trust there. Trust requires a little bit of research to know how that trust is going to behave and what role that trust is going to play once they are summoned. So far, I've been using the menu, right? And just sort of selecting, scrolling up and down, and using the appropriate menu even during combat. And I alluded to the fact earlier that there are macros. So the macro book comes pre-populated with a couple of lines, and that's accessible here through the menu, through macros. You come into edit macro, and then book 1 comes with these sort of 2 lines that are pre-populated. And what you see again is how these macros work. There's a name, and then there are a number of lines of commands that you can input. So hitting this macro, this Alt-1 macro, is the same as typing /yes into the chat log, which basically is like a nod. So if we can nod to ourselves. If we have a target, we can nod at the target. We can shake our head no. We can wave, things like this. So what I'm going to do is, and usually what I do is a macro book for each job. So we'll make this our warrior macro book, and then we'll come in. In the past, what I've been doing so far is pointing and then choosing attack from the menu. You can instead do attack target. So that T in brackets is for target, and you can also put ME for things that you cast on yourself. But for now, we're going to be using target. And then I'll also I'll show you the difference. So you can come to magic, excuse me, you can come to trust, and we can choose exit meal, and then we can accept that and it will cast the spell. Or we can go to our macro book. Now that I've programmed that macro in, all I have to do is come up here and hit this button once, and it will cast that spell. So we've summoned our trust. He shows up. He's in our party. Once I attack a monster, he will attack it with me, and then he will perform the way that he's programmed to perform throughout that battle. And that command return trust all will return all of the trust that you have currently out. So because we completed that Records of Eminence quest, we received another cipher. Now ciphers are the items, there it is, that we can trade for the trust spells. So now that we have that cipher, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to come make it our quest. There's usually an objective for that alter ego that we just obtained the cipher for. We're going to accept that alter ego, but then what we have to do is go back inside and trade that cipher so that we get access to the spell. Okay, so this is a very important aspect of the game. Alright, so at this point I should be able to trade this cipher to this NPC and get that trust spell, but nothing happens. So the assumption by a lot of players at this point is the quest is broken, I need GM help, and blah blah blah. No, in Final Fantasy XI, this game has been around for so long, very rarely is anything broken in that manner. What that means, almost always, 999 times out of 1,000, is that I missed a step along the way. And so in this particular quest, the step that I missed is I'm supposed to go back to Exenmeal and talk to him so that I can receive yet another key item, which will allow me to continue along with the progression of the Sandorian Trust Questline. My bad. It happens. Alright, there we go. So we got our key items. You are now able to call multiple alter egos. There is also a limit on the number of alter egos you can call at first. You cannot call forth a full party. Full party in Final Fantasy XI is 6. So now we're going to go back and see if we can get that other trust. And it worked. Okay, now we still, even though we've obtained the spell, we still have an objective to go out and summon him. So let's do that now. And before we head out, since we've amassed a few hundred sparks, let's see if there's anything we can get that'll help us. One of the things you want to make sure that you're paying attention to is that each gear will have a level requirement as well as a job requirement. So if you'll notice on this particular piece, and this set, monk, samurai, and ninja are the only 3 jobs that can wear this. So you have to be a monk, samurai, or ninja level 8 or higher to equip that item. So be sure before you purchase something, before you use your points or your guild to get an item, that you are getting an item that you can actually use. And then also it takes a little bit of knowledge and research to know that what you're spending is a suitable upgrade as well. So okay, so let's head out. Let's update our trust macro. Before we do, we have a new trust that we can add to the list. So now we have our party of 3. It's me, as well as the two trusts. So they'll follow, and like I said, wait for me to attack, and then they will follow their AI instructions. Nice. So he just straight up one-shotted that. And straight up one-shotted another one. Wow. Okay, so one of the things that you'll notice is that now in the menu under Job Abilities, there are a couple of options. Mighty Strikes and Provoke. So as your job level increases, there are more job abilities available to you. Each of them has some text that talks about what they do. So Provoke will add to your enmity and will make a mob want to target you and attack you. Wow, Val is just beasting out here. Unbelievable. Now, one of the issues that you'll notice is that because the trusts are pretty powerful, it's difficult to skill up. So you'll get one hit in, and you'll get a bunch of experience points, which levels you up pretty quick. So skilling up is more of a challenge than leveling up in most cases. To help with that, you can exchange your sparks for skill up tomes. These are books that you just use as an item, and they will increase your skill level for whatever book, the appropriate book that you have there. So before the macro was MA for magic ability, and when it's a job ability, it is /JA, and then of course for a weapon skill it is /WS. So the provoke macro, I just label voke. Does that, makes it want to attack me, and then we start the fight. One of the things you can do is set a recast macro, and that will tell you how many minutes and seconds are left until you can use that particular ability again. You can make one macro for all future abilities, and then you can, so for example, you can tie that into your attack macro. So again, for that, we hit our attack macro. We know that there's no wait for Mighty Strikes or Provoke. Now, Mighty Strikes is what we used to call a 2-hour ability because there was a 2-hour delay from use. It's a pretty powerful ability. Mighty Strikes, what it does is, for the duration of that ability, makes every hit a critical hit. In particular of use when in a bad spot, low level, you can make every hit a critical hit and quickly kill whatever's killing you. It's also a great ability to have late game when you're trying to zerg down a tough boss and really want to get the most damage out of most damage output in a short amount of time. So now those abilities have been changed to a 1-hour delay. And then with certain progress and certain quest lines, those can be knocked down to a 45-minute delay. And there's level 10. Alright, so in the 3 nations there are NPCs that will allow you to begin to accept the nation's missions, and so this is going to allow you to increase your rank. You begin with rank 1 in a mission. The cap for that nation is rank 10. There are certain expansion packs that require you to be at a rank 3 or 5 or 6 to continue, and it's also kind of nice to just finish those out, get those rewards, and rank up and see the storyline for that nation. So we should be able to accept our first one. They're going to ask us here to slay orcish scouts. And then bring back the axe as proof. Accept the mission. And you may have missed it in the footage earlier, but we already received the Orcish Axe item. It's rare exclusive, which means you can only get one and you can't trade it, you can't sell it. But we did get it earlier off of an orc while we were fighting, so I'm going to go ahead and see if we can trade that in. Get credit for that mission. Okay, so having completed Smash the Orcish Scouts, it is repeatable. That will increase your rank points. Or we can do Bat Hunt, which is technically mission 1-2. So we'll go ahead and accept Bat Hunt. And it's going to tell us to head over to King Renpere's tomb. And we're going to have to kill some bats and bring back some bat fangs. Now, it doesn't tell you this in the text, but this is why you have to go to a site like bg-wiki and just go ahead and pull that up on your laptop or your iPad next to your console or your PC where you're playing, so you have that data in front of you. I cannot stress that enough, to have this stuff pulled up, and that way you already know what to do. The walkthrough for this is we're going to go kill dingbats. They spawn at night, and it's night now, so maybe we should run to go get that. And once we kill enough of those bats, we'll get an item called Orcish Weaponskills. Then we click the tombstone, and then we return with the Orcish Weaponskills to complete the mission. Now, keep in mind when you see these weird mobs with weird names, always check. And impossible to gauge means that it is what's called a Notorious Monster. And Notorious Monster has a particular level. Because we're level 10 at the moment, with very little skill level, I'm going to avoid any Notorious Monsters just out of an abundance of caution. And what I would want to do is sort of look that up and see what that guy's deal is before attacking it. Usually Notorious Monsters will have better drops or unique drops that you can only get from them. But like I said, they're typically a few levels higher than the zone that you're in. So we don't want to tempt fate today. What we're trying to do is get to King Renpere's tomb and kill some dingbats before nighttime is over, because they only spawn at night from 1800 hours to 600 hours. So we're right in the middle of that, so we're pretty good timing on this one. Okay, and we're in King Renpere's tomb. So now that we're in, did not want to summon them before, because whenever you zone, you go from one zone to the next, you lose your trusts. So now that we're here, a couple of things. There's a Grounds tome. They do not overlap with Fields of Valor, so if we're going to do a Grounds of Valor tome, we need to cancel our Fields of Valor. And go to work on these dingbats to see if we can get the Orcish Weaponskills. Okay, so we've made our way over to I-9, where the tombstone resides for this mission 1-2. There are a number of mobs over here, Dingbat still, because it has not reached 6 o'clock in the morning. Enchanted Bones. Both of these are conning easy prey. There is a spook, and a spook is a ghost, and they've got some pretty gnarly abilities, but now that it's reached 4 in the morning, all of the nighttime mobs have gone away. So you're free to walk over here to the tombstone. Just want to be careful what time of day it is when you're traversing tombstones and graveyards and all that good stuff, because there are quite often nighttime mobs that will come out, and if you're not prepared for the nighttime, they can surprise you. Nighttime, depending on what we're talking about for the various mobs, is somewhere around 1,800 hours or 2,000 hours. Here's our cutscene for Sandoria Mission 1-2. So the storyline here is we're looking for some grave robbers or tomb robbers, and we're not sure what's happened to some of these heirlooms at the tomb. Okay. And quite often I will, whenever you're supposed to check an item or talk to a person and you get a cutscene, because there's so many overlapping missions and quests, a lot of times I will check it, a second time or a third time, just to make sure that we got the cutscene for the mission that we're actually on, and not some random quest that we're not aware of yet. So now that I've hit that a few times, we'll head back, make that level 14. Yeah, leveling up is very quick, very easy. The grind for Final Fantasy XI used to be leveling. So if you played this game circa 2005, 2006, up through maybe 2008 or 9, this game was very grindy when it came to leveling. But now, instead of being very grindy for levels, the levels come easy, and the grind really starts once you reach level 99. And at level 99, you have access to eye level gear, and eye level increases your level over and above 99. Once you reach 99, you have access to capacity points, and with capacity points, you can eventually master a level. Once you master a job, you can begin to increase your master levels up above 30 levels above that. So some will think that because of the change, the game has been watered down, or that the challenge has been removed, because all they've really done is move the challenge, or move the grind, from leveling to mastering a job once you've reached 99. So here we are, back at the survival guide at the entrance, and we should be able to teleport. And you have to watch the chat log, folks. Upon returning back into town, it says a new Records of Eminence objectives all for one is now available. So again, we want to really stay on top of what is available in Records of Eminence for us. And so now we have the ability to join a Unity. So our objective for that all for one ROE is to speak with this NPC here. Unity Concord is something that we'll be talking about more in the future, but the key here is to go ahead and sign up for it, because as you fight and as you complete quests and as you complete ROE objectives, you begin to accumulate Unity Accord points. which you'll want later. So you can research the various unities that are available. The advice I'll give you here is that, and you can change these later. Personally, I like Apururu because Apururu is a healer that will stand at a distance once you have access to that trust. Some of the others are nice, but really a good healer trust is nice to have, and so I like to start with Apururu. Some of the others are good. Sylvie is a geomancer trust, and so once you have a better ranged healer, you can switch to Sylvie if you want to, but to start, Apururu is a really, really good healer. There is a specific Unity Concord chat, and only members of that Unity will be able to participate in it. But it really doesn't matter which one you pick, other than the trust that you want to be able to use in battle. And one of the things that we find is that this particular Unity NPC has some mental instability. She acts quite upset from time to time, and then gets angry, and then gets sad again, and then quite interesting to talk to. So, okay, so we've completed that Records of Eminence for joining a Unity, and what that's going to do is move us one step closer. So some of these others we can't do yet. We do want to work on the Tenzin Trust, but first what we want to do is finish this quest by turning in the mail scales. Alright folks, that is going to do it for episode 1 of Stone Warden's Let's Play Final Fantasy XI. We got a few levels, we knocked out a couple of missions, and we're well on our way to getting established here in the game. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you join us again in the future. I also have a couple of other series running on this channel. So glad to have you. Thank you, and we'll see you next time, fam. Take care.